Here's where we're going. Making one great physical box look like 6 virtual machines is awesome, but that's not interesting. That's a utilization consolidation play that we had already talked about. What's really interesting is making 6 physical boxes look like 1 to an application. Because once you can do something like that, you break all the physical boundaries associated with the resource collection within those physical boundaries. What's in a box? Bunch of cores, bunch of memory, bunch of I/O capabilities. It's in a big disk array. Bunch of disks, bunch of capacity, bunch of cores, bunch of channels, bunch of I/O capabilities, et cetera, et cetera. Spin up a virtual machine or an application instance, virtual or physical, within some particular thing, and we need something more. Wouldn't it be great if we could get it wherever the resource was available? Unrestricted, right? Follow me? So we could stand up and tear down dynamically on a very transient basis whatever assets and resources that application needs for that period of time. That's cool, right? That's the ultimate in effectiveness. Because even in your own shops, you've got physical server A, physical server B. Physical server A can be completely wiped out at 4 o'clock because you're running X jobs that are happening. Physical server B sitting there doing nothing. It happens every day, let alone when you have thousands of these things, right? It's invariable that that will happen all the time. So what if, because what we're really focused on was prioritizing application importance, SLAs, application value, if you will, that's where we focused our time and let the magic system, I kind of call it the data center operating system, that VMware aspires to be, by the way, which is dangerous. But if that could happen, and it could just view all the resources within our data center as a collection of stuff that it can pick and choose and put together and stand up, the hard part's been done. We can build a virtual machine. That's hard. It was hard to do. We had to take a piece of a core, a hunk of memory, not all of it, right? Some I/O capabilities, some storage capabilities. That was really hard to do, but they're all bound still. They have physical boundaries associated to them. What if they didn't? And my argument is sooner or later, they're not going to, right? And I think I can prove that that exists because we do grid computing today. Most of us not commercially, but grid computing has existed for a long time. And principally, I bring this up because that's just a relatively simplistic example to understand that if I can massively parallelize an application, the application does not know it's executing on 700 physical machines. It does not know. It does not care. Eventually, there's an orchestrator that's kind of running jobs in parallel, little pieces of that application's job load, and then putting things all together. But that application doesn't care. It doesn't know it's got 700 machines underneath it. It only has a one-to-one relationship as far as it's concerned. And so this will happen, right? Where does it not happen? It doesn't happen in storage. I do love EMC. I do. So I don't want you to take this the wrong way. But I don't care who we're talking about. EMC, NetApp, IBM, blah, blah, blah. We're moving in a grid world on the server side really fast. We're moving in a grid-oriented world on the networking side really fast. We're moving backwards on the storage side. Our most elaborate, most expensive, awesomest, highest tech, coolest storage today is still monolithic clustered stuff. Active, 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 passive. Kidding me? I got thousands of physical server nodes connected through 2 RAID controllers, 4 RAID controllers, 8 RAID controllers. A big cluster, a big scale-out cluster is 16. There are examples that it goes more, but from a market share perspective, 2 is 99% of the market. 2 controllers from access perspective. That's counterintuitive to me, right? That doesn't make sense ultimately long-term if we're going to start spanning across physical boxes on the server side. We have to be able to keep up. So you're only as fast as your slowest point. Right? And all of this stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're talking about 10 servers or 1,000 servers. Eventually, you get bottlenecked down to whatever your most throttled point is. Today, your most throttled point are storage controllers. That's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. Now, the EMC and everybody else does a great job making those storage controllers as awesome as they can be, fast and fast and fast. But the ratios of what comes in to what goes out are still just ridiculous. And more so, right on the back end of a RAID controller, you might have 1,000 drives now, all funneled through 2, 4, 6, 8 choke points, up to 1,000 servers. Fundamentally wrong. Sooner or later, that's where the bottleneck's going to live. Sooner or later. You're only going to be as fast as your slowest point. So the industry's eventually going to get there. But what's going to happen, I think, is just like virtualization caused you to network storage finally, even though we had SAN and NAS for a zillion years, and it was always the right thing to do, but it took server virtualization to make it really happen ubiquitously. Same kind of thing is going to happen here, in my estimation. The capabilities of the server side and the network side will push you because, and oh, by the way, I don't blame the storage industry, because as long as you keep writing checks, why should they change? EMC makes a lot of money. NetApp makes a lot of money. These guys make a lot of money. But there's no reason to change because you don't make them. And it's difficult. I understand. Fundamental business 101. You're going to keep giving me $1 for something, I'm going to keep taking it. It'd be dumb not to. These are not altruistic endeavors. They are not here to make you happy. They are here to take your money. The stockholders. It's the way of the world. And it makes them happy, really. You are here to serve them, if you think about that. Anyway.